But if all this is just a myth, why is it so persistent? Why are more and more people convinced that someone is watching, interfering, and controlling events behind the scenes of the global stage? In the early 2000s, the topic of reptilians experienced a revival thanks to the internet. Forums, YouTube channels, and pseudo-documentary films turned the theory into a meme, yet at the same time, it became the subject of serious debate. It is especially widely discussed in connection with mysterious events, mass disasters, and high-profile political decisions. For supporters of the theory, every new incident is a potential confirmation of their beliefs. Some ideas have gained particular popularity, for instance, that reptilians are not just aliens, but inhabitants of underground civilizations. Allegedly, they live in deep inner-Earth cities, travel through tunnel networks, and maintain bases in remote regions such as Antarctica or the Himalayas. According to this version, official governments are aware of this, but remain silent. There is another twist to the theory. Some claim that reptilians are an ancient terrestrial race that evolved alongside humans. According to this hypothesis, millions of years ago, these highly developed reptilian beings went underground, foreseeing a threat from the surface. Now, they are returning to reclaim control. Hollywood hasn't stayed on the sidelines. Films like Men in Black, They Live, and V have become part of the cultural code that fuels reptilian mythology. Alien invaders capable of taking human form are now a familiar trope. Yet audiences still eagerly search these stories for hidden hints of reality. Cartoons, comic books, even children's shows, sometimes, seemingly by accident, they include scenes where characters briefly reveal a reptilian nature. Believers interpret this as a hidden message, supposedly delivered through mainstream culture. Psychologists point out that belief in hidden powers is a way of coping with anxiety in the face of the unknown and the uncontrollable. When the world is full of economic crises, conflicts, and technological upheavals, it's easier to believe that none of it is random, but rather part of a deliberate plan, even if it's not a human one. Interestingly, believers often see themselves as awakened. They claim to have discovered a truth others failed to notice. Belief in reptilians becomes more than just a theory. It turns into a mindset, a lens through which they interpret reality. There are people who claim to have seen reptilians with their own eyes. Some present themselves as former employees of government agencies, others as participants in classified projects. Their descriptions are often consistent: a tall being with greenish-grey skin, eyes with vertical pupils, telepathic abilities, and incredible physical strength. One of the most well-known witnesses is a man who introduced himself as Corporal Brian. In the early 2000s, he claimed to have served at an underground base and witnessed strange reptilian entities working alongside humans. According to him, these beings did not speak aloud but transmitted thoughts directly into the mind. Their behavior appeared cold and rational, and their gaze disturbingly alien. Such stories are hard to verify. Some consider them pure fabrication, others see them as distorted memories, and some regard them as revelations. If we set aside mysticism and approach the question rationally, could intelligent reptilian beings really have existed? Some paleontologists have proposed a hypothesis. Had dinosaurs not gone extinct 65 million years ago, one branch might have evolved into a sentient species. The so-called Dilophosauride or Troodon possessed a relatively large brain, grasping limbs, and stereoscopic vision, traits associated with intelligent life. Scientists have even produced hypothetical reconstructions of a dinosauroid, a creature that bears a striking resemblance to the beings described by believers in the reptilian theory. On the other hand, the idea of humanoid reptiles capable of assuming human form implies a level of technology or biology far beyond what exists on Earth. Molecular-level camouflage, full control over the body, the ability to alter eye shape and skin texture, all of this remains far out of reach, even for the most advanced genetic engineering. And yet, the theory endures. It is sustained not only by unexplained video footage, but also by our own imagination, which resists simple explanations. One could say that the reptilian theory is more than just an alternative history. It's a mirror. It reflects our fears, our distrust of authority, our sense of losing control over our own lives. In this sense, reptilians don't need to be real to feel real. They are an archetype, a symbol of a cold, alien intelligence pulling the strings behind the familiar world. And perhaps that's exactly why the theory persists. Eras change, presidents come and go, borders shift, but the idea that those in power are not who they appear to be remains. First it was gods, then demons, now reptilians. Who will it be next? There's also a more philosophical perspective, reptilians as a metaphor. A cold, calculating intellect, devoid of human emotion. Isn't that how we often imagine those in positions of power, making decisions that shape millions of lives? Perhaps the image of a reptilian is an attempt to explain why authority can sometimes feel inhuman. Paradoxically, the more science advances, the more interest grows in such theories. People aren't just searching for answers, they're searching for meaning. They want to believe there is some kind of hidden order behind the chaos, even if it's terrifying and alien. This is the power of myth. It explains the unexplainable, gives shape to the shapeless, and offers structure in the midst of darkness. Naturally, the reptilian theory has its critics. Journalists, researchers, and scientists point out that all the so-called evidence amounts to either optical illusions, video editing tricks, or active imagination. They warn that excessive belief in such ideas can distract people from real issues and undermine trust in institutions meant to protect society. But this raises another important question. Do those institutions always deserve our trust? When those in power make mistakes, conceal information, or deliberately manipulate public opinion, the space for conspiracy theories grows on its own. In the end, perhaps it doesn't really matter whether reptilians literally exist. What matters more is why millions of people believe in them. Because this story offers answers where the official narrative remains silent. Because it captivates, intrigues, and ignites the imagination. Reptilians aren't just beings from conspiracy lore. They are a symbol, an image of something that frightens, fascinates, and lures us all at once. And as long as the world holds mysteries and unanswered questions, the myth will live on. So the next time you look into the eyes of a famous politician, a TV host, or a pop culture icon, and you think you catch a glimpse of a narrow, vertical slit in the pupil, who knows? Maybe you really did see something, or maybe you've simply become part of the oldest, most persistent, and most mysterious story humanity has ever told. The theory of reptilians is more than just a myth or a strange fantasy from the depths of the internet. It's a reflection of our inner anxiety, our timeless question: who truly controls this world? Why do some decisions feel so inhuman, so distant, so cold? Why is there so much chaos, pain, and injustice, and so few real answers? Belief in reptilians may seem absurd, but look deeper. It ties together ancient myths, fear of the unknown, distrust of authority, and a longing for hidden meaning. People have always created legends to explain what lies beyond understanding. Once, we spoke of demons. Later, secret orders. Now humanoid reptilians hiding behind the faces of politicians and celebrities. The essence of these stories isn't in their form, it's in the emotions they awaken. Skeptics may mock the slitted eyes and underground city theories all they want, but they're laughing at the symptoms, not the cause. And the cause is our desire to understand the world, our fear of an invisible hand, our sense that someone is pulling the strings behind the scenes. When official explanations don't bring peace of mind, people turn to alternative ones, even if they sound fantastic. What truly matters is this: the reptilian theory isn't just about aliens. It's about us. How free are we? How clearly do we see the truth? And how much are we becoming like the very beings we fear, cold, emotionless, obsessed with control? To believe or not is each person's choice. But maybe the real point of this theory isn't to reveal an alien secret, it's to awaken curiosity, to push us to ask uncomfortable questions, to make us stop and truly observe what's happening to us, to our lives, and to our world. Because sometimes, the wildest stories are the ones that make us search for truth the hardest. And who knows, maybe reality is even stranger than any fiction. So stay sharp. In a world full of masks and illusions, truth always hides where we least expect it.